So good afternoon. I am going live on my Facebook page this afternoon. I have a PR student who actually called me and said he needs to interview me about the PR world. So I'm going to introduce you to Robbie Dent. Robbie Dent is, what year are you at South Carolina?
I'm a senior.
I'm
a senior student.
Very good, Robbie. So your assignment is to interview somebody in the PR world, right?
Right. It's just not a large assignment. Just ask a couple questions and just get a couple answers and write a paper about it.
Very good. So first of all, I'm going to ask you, how did you find Carriage Trade PR?
Well, initially I found Carriage Trade PR. I typed in on Google, of course. Dr. Google saves everything. And after I typed it in, I believe yours was along the lines of the first, second, or third one that popped up. And luckily, your website is very easy to operate. So I must be just click contact information, and I clicked your email, and there we go.
Well, thank you for reaching out. I love talking PR to college students. It's a fabulous career. I've been doing it 25 years, and have at it. You're now the interviewer. This is Robbie's first time live. I sprung it on him. I said, hey, we're going to do something different here.
No problem. If you see me go blink for a couple seconds, I'm probably just writing down some answers. Okay. So my first question is going to be related to your background. So I understand that you did PR firms, so you could work in flexible hours. So despite this fact, did you find it difficult to balance your personal life and job when you first started your entrepreneurship?
So when I first started, I was actually a single mom. So I had no balance in my life at all. All I did was be a mom and work. And that's what you do for 5 years. You work around the clock. There is, there's no balance. But I ran off of passion, lots of passion, and passion kept me going, and it's kept me going for 25 years. I'm so grateful to be in an industry that I love what I do. And somebody once said to me, you actually, it's not like working because you love what you do. So, yeah.
All right, and that completes that question. So my next set of questions is going to be related to your college education. So how long did you go to school for?
So I attended the University of Maryland at College Park. I majored in journalism. They really, it was really mass communication. That was a course before social media. I finished all my core classes by my junior year. And so my senior year, I had electives left. And I actually was fortunate enough to move to Italy, where I got to take a bunch of electives, and I took art classes in France and London, and my minor was fine arts. So I spent about a year and a half studying fine arts. So it took me about 4.5 years and a move to Europe. But I've had everything finished. I had everything finished within the first 3 years. I also was a TA for photojournalism at the University of Maryland, College Park. And that came in so handy. We do so much photography, so much videography. And actually in high school, I attended Wooten High School. Our high school in Rockville, Maryland did not have a video course. So I went over to the closest high school and they said, yeah, you can drive over here for a class. So I attended their radio, TV, and film. So I've always been around media.
When you say TA, what do you mean by that? Yeah, teacher assistant. All right.
Teacher assistant. And those professors have so many connections in the community that if you really connect with them, they can help you get placed in a job. So I didn't realize I was married and moving overseas. So
So when you first started this whole PR career, what was your highest degree at the moment?
It was a degree in journalism, a BA in journalism and minor in, BA.
All right, so this next section is going to be more of a previous job history. So I noticed in your video that it said that you helped your mom and dad's printing publishing business. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the year I was born, and I'm not going to say what it was, my parents also started a magazine. So we grew up, it's called Dining in Washington and Shopping in Washington. So I grew up in the small business community in Washington, D.C., helping my parents do all aspects of putting that magazine together. And really, it was, my mom went around and wrote up wonderful articles about all the very high-end, the carriage trade. Carriage trade means high-end clientele. So, and that was the name of their company, Carriage Trade. So when they passed on, I actually named my company Carriage Trade. So yeah, they knew everybody in the DC, Georgetown, Alexandria area. They dealt with lots of small businesses. And Robbie, I actually remember missing school to help put together magazines and help do jobs. So it wasn't a lot of time, but I definitely learned the work ethic of getting the job done.
So after college, would you say is that where you worked after college for your parents, or did you work somewhere else?
So actually, my junior year, I got married, and then we moved to Italy. And so I didn't really work for a while. I was an Army wife, and until I got a call, my mother ended up dying, and my dad called me and said, we've got a problem with sustaining the organization. And I ended up coming home and helping him. So I had to help him turn the company around. And that's when I discovered the power of PR. I got I don't know if I have this. I ended up writing a press release. I do have it. I ended up writing a press release, Robbie, to the Washington Times. And this is the very first press release I ever wrote. It's so bad, actually, but I mean, it's signed. But anyhow, that press release got on the front page of the money section. And that press release really helped turn my dad's business around. I saw the power of PR. It was very, because when I would walk in and make sales calls, I would bring the newspaper and say, they featured us. So it builds the credibility. It builds the credibility. It's not me saying how great we are. It's somebody else saying how great we are. And 92% of new business comes from word of mouth. So that's why what you're studying now, mass communications, public relations, you're building people's reputations. You're building it with the mass media. And when people read about it, it creates very positive word of mouth for small businesses or nonprofits or whoever you're representing. It's very, very powerful. You just have to learn how to use it for the good.
And that's one of the things I think that I benefit from coming from a social media generation, was that word of mouth is so easy to, disperse at the moment.
So Robbie, I'm going to tell you, this is one of my biggest pet peeves. All right, how many people are on your social media feed?
Well, mine personally, not very much, probably around 50 or 60.
Okay. So most small businesses, they might have 1,000, they might have 4,000, they might have 5, they might have 10,000. But if you look at mass media, so the Savannah Morning News, they have 75,000 followers on Facebook. So would you rather have 75,000 people see what you're talking about? Or how many do you have? 50?
50.
But see, mass media is not as easy as social media either. Anybody can slap something up and say, look how great I am. But if you get it in mass media, then mass community PR, then you have a third-party endorsement essentially talking about how great you are. And then it goes onto their social media and then it spreads. So I actually have a slide. I can't really do a screen share on this, but it shows how much more powerful mass media is to start off with.
We didn't go over that, but yeah, I see exactly what you're saying. I sure do rather have, 75,000 viewers.
Right.
I see it.
Mm-hmm.
That almost threw me off there, but so that job you had of publishing information about your parents' company, would you say you liked it?
Yes, I liked it enough, but I knew I didn't want to go into publishing. I knew turning my dad's business around, I saw the power in it. And then once we turned it around, I moved down to Savannah, Georgia, and I started my own company. And Robbie, when I first started, I did everything. I did marketing. I had the printing background, and the PR background. And the clients kept coming back to me and saying, hey, can you get me back on the radio? Hey, can you get me back on television or another article in the paper? And very soon I put the flag in the sand. That's all we did was organic public relations. So.
So you eventually had to hire more people. When did you realize you had to hire more people?
You know what? I went a long time. I went 19 years with just me being in charge of everything. And then I would outsource everything. I'm telling you, this career as a publicist is the best. It's absolutely the best. If you want a life, you don't need that many clients to have a beautiful life. And if you want to grow and scale it, you start to hire. So I've had employees. I just hired another new employee, and he actually started yesterday. So we've got plans for going bigger.
So, would you consider this as your second position you ever held?
Yeah, I worked for my dad. I worked for my dad's company, and then for myself.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I tell people,
mm-hmm.
I love to get people to start their own business. There's so much help out there. There's an organization called SCORE that they mentor you for free, and actually SCORE helped my dad's business with mentoring to help turn it around. They had lots of advice. And it is, I hope you will even consider starting your own business. I wished that I had done an internship with a PR firm. My background has always come from small business. I know what small businesses need. And, but I didn't have all the contracts. I didn't have all the systems worked out. I had to create them from scratch. However, I did have a SCORE mentor in New Mexico. New Mexico, a SCORE mentor. And he gave me some really good advice on all that. So, if you're thinking about, it might be really hard during COVID finding a job. So Robbie, if you think about actually just starting your own business, this is what I'm going to recommend. It's really hard to get a job in this environment right now. And what I tell interns is if you can connect with a nonprofit organization and approach them with a year-long plan. My book, it's $10. It talks about how to create a year-long plan using the reputation matrix, because a lot of nonprofits really don't know what to do. You know, it's probably going to involve writing one press release each month and putting a lot of social media and reputation marketing content around it. And then approach them and just say, for this semester, I can help you really move the needle with visibility. Here's a plan. Let me do it.
So you recommend nonprofits starting there?
Yes, because they usually don't have the budget. And you really can build your resume big time with them. And then from there, you know, you can go on to small business and then big business. I mean, we've done publicly traded companies. We've done Fortune 500 companies. We do small business. I mean, our niche is reputation building, especially in the community. Yeah.
And I remember that when I was looking at your video, I remember you saying when you initially started this, there wasn't many PR places.
Mm-mm.
And I like that. And I like the way you thought when you was making your business decision.
Yeah. I'm 100% PR. If you go downtown and you'll see advertising and PR and websites, all we do is one thing and we do it really well.
Earlier, you started talking about how it was when you first started. So my question is, when you first started this, did you think you would ever become an entrepreneur? Was that ever in your plan?
Oh yeah, it's in my blood. I like having options. So if I had gone to work for an employer, and like now with COVID,
yeah,
you're going to let people go, and you're, you know, at least with having my own business, I've got a bunch of different clients. So to me, it feels safer. And the older you get, you know, it's really hard to be hired and really hard to stay on. I mean, there's definitely age discrimination. So being a CEO, being the founder, has been the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah, I can really see that. I can really see that. All right, so this next section will just cover about your perspective of the whole public relation field. So I want to ask about what's your observation about the current state of public relations?
So the current state of public relations is, and I've been saying this for a long time, we have to say media, because what's happening is mass media is also now doing PR. They're also creating, and they're doing this, we're all kind of doing the same thing. So the media has gotten, I mean, there's just so many different outlets now that it's very hard to, you know, everybody's doing the same thing. We're all swimming in the same pond. We're all writing stuff so it ranks on Google. We're all creating videos so it ranks on Google. We're all creating social media so it ranks. So we're all doing that. And it's an interesting time. It's a very interesting time.
So would you say there's also an increase in demand for PR businesses since the competition has increased?
Yes, and they predicted this years ago that this is going to be a very, very popular industry, popular field, and everybody needs this. They might not know they need it, but everybody needs it. And any nonprofit, any business, any small business, if you want to move the needle and you want to create positive word of mouth, PR is super powerful because it It's building your reputation. You're not selling anything. You're getting people to say, oh, that's an award-winning company. Oh, they care about the community. Oh, they're a growing company. You know, they're headlines that help build your reputation. And there's a real strategy for it, creating word of mouth. People don't realize that there's actually a strategy to create word of mouth. And it's this reputation matrix. It is it's powerful.
And that's what we're learning in PR class at the moment. You know, it's a little difficult, you know, through online learning, but that's essentially what he's trying to teach us at the moment. Like, it's not something you just wake up in the morning and do. It's actually a process. It's plenty of plans, and it takes a lot of time and planning.
Yeah, because Robbie,
so do you think that more people
Robbie, you don't want to a lot of PR firms will just jump in and say, oh, I can write a press release. Let me tell you, that's not smart, because you need a strategy. This is your reputation. It has to be planned out step by step. And I feel it needs to be planned out for the year. And mass media, there's a certain algorithm of things they pick up. And in my book, it talks about the 5 things that they pick up. And you need to follow that plan if you want to get mass. Now, you can always just do social media, but you're not going to get the kind of hit you get with mass media.
So you would definitely recommend that more people go to college in this particular field, since it's expanding, right?
I would, because in PR, you have to know about a bunch of different things. You never know what area you're going to niche in. I ended up niching in community, so it's a little bit different. But there's some people that all they do is tech PR. Some people, all they do is art PR, book PR. They niche. There's riches in niches. So we specialize in community PR. So I absolutely recommend getting a degree. The more you know about everything, the better off you're going to be. Absolutely. Yeah.
So while we're on this subject, what skills and areas of knowledge do you expect new hirees to have? So let's start with knowledge. You said one of them you said was tech.
Oh yeah. When folks come on with us, they've got to they got to know the computer inside out. We've been in the cloud for 20 years now. We use an online office for 20 years. It's called Basecamp. So they need to know how to navigate that. They need to know how to take pictures. They need to know how to do video. They need to know how to edit. They need to know AP style writing. That's probably the biggest problem that we've had in the past, is finding students, interns that have been taught Associated Press style writing. And it's very different than social media writing. And finding a student that understands the power of a really strong headline. Back at Maryland, I had a whole class designated just to headline writing. That's how important it is. And in today's society, we're pretty much all headline readers.
Very true.
Yep.
We learned a little bit about this, and we also have a version of journalism class just for APA style writing. And that was something that you noticed that a lot of us had issues with, learning the difference between regular writing styles, let's say for a scientific study, and learning how to write for, interesting reads.
Right. Good for you. Good for them. That's awesome. That's awesome.
So other than education and skill set, you think there's anything else someone would need to have an entry-level job in PR?
Enthusiasm. Ask a lot of questions. Show that you love what you're doing. I would say somebody that goes above and beyond what you ask for. A CEO will take note. interns come and go, but if they find somebody that goes that extra mile, there's a better chance of you getting to stay full time, So, I mean, you got to treat it like it's your own business.
Right. Right. So other than that, which I know this probably sounds a little repetitive, but any other advice that you would just generally have for new practitioners? Now that you've said all of that, I don't suppose.
Well, I know, yeah. I would say to find what success looks like for you. My definition of success was being able to raise my daughter, being able to pick her up from school, being able to attend her competitions, and to be there. Family first is success for me. And we still have that built into the company, that family is always first. And I'm the most successful business ever because I was able to have that. And I never had the downtown office. I didn't want it because it didn't go with. I needed to be available for my daughter. So I've always been virtual. For 25 years, we've been virtual because my value is family first. I put my daughter first. And those first years, I didn't bill as much, but it's okay. Family has to come first.
Well, this is somewhat of the last section of this whole thing. And I actually do like that you have family values. Because I know, like my mom, my dad died earlier when I was real young. So one of her first things when she was trying to plan out a job was also try to find a job that she could also come to all my band practices and also do her own work and make money. So I can really understand what you're saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wow. He'd be proud of you in college, though. That's really awesome. He would be very proud of you being a senior in college. Absolutely.
First generation.
Oh,
yes, ma'am.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. Fabulous. Good for you.
So I had a couple more video related questions, but yeah. So you often praised your business coach that you had. So what do you think your business would be like today if it wasn't for your business coach?
I need coaches and mentors. The studies show that the more people that can help you, the more coaches, the more mentors, you're going to make more money. And they taught me everything from how to write contracts to how to set expectations. So yeah, you really need to realize you don't know everything and reach out and ask for help. There's a lot of free help. There's a lot of paid, I've had some wonderful business coaches from Dr. Dana Boyd to the Brendan Bouchard group. Brendan Bouchard's group and that coach, Lisa Seppe, encouraged me to write this book. And then I'm going to monetize what I know. I'm now working on a series of videos online that people can purchase. It's going to be how to write a press release. It's basically going to be everything that's in this book. But it's another avenue of making money from home.
Sticking to the same video again, your video also emphasized the importance of keeping up with information. So how do you, gain new information? So do you watch the news, talk to younger people about things that's going on? How do you do it?
A lot of different things. And I think that's a distinguishing factor between companies that are pioneers and move the needle and companies that don't do that. Every Friday, for instance, there's a show called Social Media and it runs live on Facebook at noon. And I watch all that. I watch that. And I keep up with the LinkedIn expert chats. I belong to the Public Relations Society of America. They have wonderful articles on everything. I'm an avid reader of business. And we've got, in this industry, you have to stay ahead of the curve. You have to. I mean, this is such a high tech. People don't think of PR as being techie, but it's very, very techie.
I'm learning that right now in class.
Yeah.
And that was just one of my main questions, because I see that you've been in business for 25 years. So I'm sure you had a lot of different ways that you were able and had to adapt in order to gain new information. That's why I was interested in asking that question.
Yeah. And I also formed a group called, it's an advisory group of other women. And I talk about it in this book. Diana Morrison and Valerie Edgman created the concept, but I would meet monthly with other women business owners, and we would help each other. We would bring a problem to the table and say, hey, how would you deal with, I don't know, this Comcast bill? Let's all look at Comcast bills and see what's happening. Or, hey, what would you say? I need some advice on HR. So, the business community, we work together, and the stronger the business community, the better the community is going to be, the higher the tax base, everything. And it's real important to help each other along the way, especially now during COVID.
And that women's group, that was called the Women's Board of Directors, correct?
Yeah, that's one of them that I've been involved in.
All right.
Mm-hmm. You did your homework, Robbie Dent. Good job.
First interview, I just wanted to make sure I knew what I was talking about a little bit.
Yeah, you do.
And my last question is, I've previously heard that PR practitioners are never out of work. Have you had an increase of work since the pandemic, or do you kind of know it's a standstill, slow down?
We've had an increase in work. We've had an increase in work. We absolutely have. So many businesses are moving into the Savannah area. Savannah is on fire. And this pandemic will pass, and we'll get through this. And the companies that are positioned and up to date and ready, they'll do fine. So yes, we have absolutely had an increase. Hiring somebody, she's been through training. She's now on part of our visibility team as of yesterday, November 1st.
And that concludes all of my questions. Do you have any for me?
I would love to come talk to your class via Zoom. If you ever have an opportunity, I'd love to talk about how to use the matrix. And I guess you'd have to ask your journalism professor.
I can contact him.
Yeah. He can watch this because I'm streaming it on 3 different channels, on the Facebook, the Carriage Trade, and my YouTube channel. So this is Robbie's very first interview. Robbie, you're going to be using all these skills, believe it or not. We're just, the boundaries are all mixing together now. You are media, you are PR. It's a very different time. You're creating reputation, marketing material, and doing this would help a client. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for doing that. I'm going to end the broadcast, but stay on. So thank you, Robbie. Talk to y'all soon.